Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Capital Improvement Committee meeting, April 1st, 2025 at 2:08 PM. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. In our previous meeting, in our haste to move things around on the capital list, we forgot about putting them back on and finding a home for the items that we had taken off the list. That was brought to my attention the afternoon before, about 4:30 in the afternoon, the day before the Finance Committee meeting. So I had to make the adjustments with the Finance Director, but I wanted everybody on this committee to be aware of it. If you had any objections, we change it, because the warrant will most likely close it on the Selectmen's meeting this evening. That's why I asked to have the meeting today. Just a couple different things on here. The ambulance and equipment purchase, if you recall, it was at $494,000. It now says $500,000. The reason for that is the most recent estimate, which I found out about this morning, went up for the cardiac machine. It was $113,000. It went up. Let's be accurate with the figures since we're talking about it. It was $113,349.28. The new estimate is $118,824.20, a difference of $5,474.92. Per the suggestion of the Finance Director, we just rounded that off to $500,000 instead of $499 and change. That money comes out of ambulance receipts, so that would go back to that anyways, I would assume. It doesn't go to free cash. On the bottom of that same section on Article 10 for the 2026 budget, the highway bond is noted on there to be determined. It will require a debt exclusion. The next section down, still fiscal year 2026, not funded at this time until we get final configuration of what we need to do at the fire department, adjusting that to come in the budget. The closest we could assume is we're going to need about $425,000 in addition to the $474 that's in the budget now. Most of that is $303,000 was taken from that because it was opera funds and it had to be designated to a project by December 31st, 2024, and that was put onto the Depot Street project. So we're short roughly around $200,000 on the upgrades to the fire department, HVAC and electrical upgrades. So if you take the 303 and from the 425, you're about 122,000. It's about $75,000 less than what the estimates came in at, but the sub bids, how it was broken out, the town administrator feels confident that we'll be able to achieve getting the project done for somewhere around that figure. Then the other thing that's on here is the highway department asphalt hot box compactor plate jumping jack and associated costs. That came out of a selectmen's meeting. There was a discussion with Adam Furno, the highway superintendent, and he explained what he's currently doing is he sends out two crews. One crew has a hot box, which actually it's exactly what it's called. They take the asphalt, it's heated up so they can put it in the hole, and then it adheres properly and it stays in place. The other crew is doing cold patch, which is exactly what it's described as. It's just a cold mix. They put it in there. I'm sure everybody's experienced it. Some highway departments will throw it in the hole and let you run over it to compact it because they don't want to play chicken out in the street, or if they have time, they pack it in. In any event, it doesn't hold up. First rainstorm usually pops out of the hole. With the current conditions of the roads, and even though we're chipping away at about $1 million a year and fixing roads, it makes logical sense to get one of those, another hot box. The jumping jack and compact, they need the compacting plate, and that jumping jack looks like a pogo stick, and it bounces up and down, it compacts the trenches and stuff. They currently borrow the one from the water department when they need one. They should have one up there because they're always doing some sort of road repairs. The fire truck is on fiscal year '27. The municipal floor carpet replacement, we had taken off the list. It was on '26. And that got put back on the '27. The first and second floor renovation for $150,000 was taken off the list, so we put that back in there. The digitizer, that wasn't in there either. Those are something that we didn't have in there. Looking to see. Oh, the highway department backhoe and plow, and highway department pickup truck and plow, which we took off the list. We had no place for that, so that got inserted into 2028 per the feedback from the highway superintendent. He's hesitant to buy a backhoe or ask for a backhoe where he can't store it inside because the weather isn't his friend. But it is nearing a point where it's going to have to be replaced. He's going to have to give in at some point. That's my own personal opinion. That's not words from the highway superintendent. The pickup truck and plow just got inserted in there. Again, these changes that I made to this was done with the finance director. I didn't do it on my own. It was a recommendation by the finance director, and my input helped get this under control because we had to be properly prepared to go to the finance committee meeting. That was the only opportunity I had to go there. So, does anybody have any questions on any of that? Oh, one thing I did neglect to point out, if you look under fiscal year 2027, we're carrying the library handicap accessibility as to be determined, in that there's an asterisk next to it, says it would most likely require a capital and/or debt exclusion, depending on what the size of the unit is. Yes, really?
So are we still, I see one transfer to special stabilization fund.
It's at the bottom of each page.
Each year.
Each year.
Yeah, each year. Thanks, Ellie, for fixing me.
But we were also putting in some.
Highway, yeah.
Highway.
It's right there, the road paving and repairs is the first line item in
Alright.
each category, each year. And the last one is the 100,000 that goes into the stabilization account for the fire truck.
Okay.
So like next year on 27, even though it says we have a total of $1,435,000.
Yeah.
There, I believe there's $300, or will be $300,000 in that account. So that'll come off the bottom. That brings us back down to our target number that we try to stay around 1.1 to 1.2 million.
So what does that mean? I mean, so you're not in fiscal year '28, that 360,000 isn't going to be?
No, that's always in there.
Yeah,
Until we
that's-
change it. I was talking about the fire truck and the special stabilization account.
Yeah.
The 100,000, because we've been paying into it for a couple years now.
Yeah,
So that money we'll decide at that point next year, right? Decide if we want to tap into that or leave the build towards the ladder truck. That'll be a economical decision that we need to make at that point. We'll see where we're at.
All right.
But if we need to, it offsets our total balance of that 1.4 because there'll be, I believe this year it makes 300,000 in that account.
there's something I'm not getting.
Okay. The fire truck costs 600,000.
Yeah,
Okay. for the last 2 years, we've put 100,000 each year towards the fire truck. This year will be another 100,000, so there'll be 300,000.
Yeah.
Subtract the 300 from the 600,000, right? So the fire truck, you'll spend out of pocket another 300,000 on top of the stabilization. So that's where it comes from. So I'm just trying to explain that number of the 1,435, that it could fluctuate down depending on what our needs are and where we are comfortably.
I guess I got used to a separate 100,000 put in,
Every year.
yeah.
But that's happening.
I understand that. It just,
So, okay, so we have our regular stabilization account,
Yeah.
which is exactly what it is, right? If we need it, we can
Yeah.
dip into it. We created this special capital stabilization account solely for the purpose of, this was the intention, right?
right.
Solely for the purpose of purchasing large fire apparatus over 26,000, so they wouldn't be buying pickup trucks and silly things. What they'd be buying the big trucks that basically deplete our entire capital budget when we have one come up. So that's what drove us. We had that one year, we did 750, and then we bought a steam kettle and something else, right? We had nothing else left to do with it. So this puts us in a much better position. Now, keep in mind that the ladder truck is 1.8 million. So if we're in a situation where we don't have to tap into that, we could let it build up towards that truck, because at one point, there's no way we could ever, I don't think, spend $1.8 million in 1 year to buy a ladder truck. I don't see that happening. So, yes, Shirley. Ellie, I'm sorry.
Do we need a ladder truck?
Yes.
Why?
Chimney fires mostly is what they use them for. Think about being a firefighter and the chimney's on fire, so you got to decide if you want to climb the ladder to try to put it out, or if you're on a ladder truck and squirt down the top of it.
Yeah, but, I mean, do you have to have a brand-new one every 20 years or whatever it is, or 10 years? When did you get it? You got it for free?
That's a 2005. That's a
Okay.
2005 truck.
Yeah.
So it's 20 years old, and it's not on to be changed, it's not even on our list. So it's not on to be changed immediately, but you're going to have to change it at some point, right?
Because the ladder won't work? Or for some other reason? Because if you're using it just for the ladder, putting out
Yeah.
chimney
So
fires.
I don't want to answer for the fire department, because I don't know the answer that would be proper for you. But what I'm going to go by is when the assistant fire chief, deputy fire chief at this time, came and seen us, according to the NFPA 1901, I believe it was, the useful life of a fire truck is between 15 and 20 years.
In 1901?
That NFPA section 1901,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
NFPA section 1901. I believe that's what the section is. The useful life of a fire truck is 15 to 20 years. Anybody could argue that point. But it's not on our list, and the only reason we're talking about it now is I was just opening up everybody's mind to think of a strategy in which to replace that truck at some point. So if we're in a position that we don't need to deplete the special stabilization account, then we could let it continue to build, or we could use it to offset that cost like it was intended to do. It's just a decision, that's all. And it'll be a town meeting decision, but they'll be looking for a recommendation from us, as well as the finance committee will be looking for a recommendation from us.
Yeah. I just remember it was 9/11 that caused, that made it so that the fire trucks were funded by the federal government.
I believe Shirley was involved in acquiring that truck through some sort of grant or
Yeah.
something. So that was pre-me, so I couldn't even answer on it. Shirley, if you'd like to explain it.
Well,
Perfect.
first of all, we just didn't get it because the grant was available. It was I believe it was a request of the fire department, because they are, and still are, working mutual aid with
Correct.
all the towns around.
They call it District 7.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did, with the support of the Board of Selectmen, and I believe I was chairman at the time. Anyhow, I wrote a letter to Senator Kerry, who responded and who worked with us to get it. And that's why we were able to get it. It was a need, because we could, get called to a huge area, and not that we should prepare for that all the time, but we are growing and buildings,
When it's accessible for structure fires and for chimney fires, it's a very important
Yeah.
piece of equipment for them,
yeah,
just for the safety of the personnel.
right. Yeah,
Does that answer your question, Ellie, or?
Well, yeah,
A
but
little
it
bit.
doesn't, it doesn't sort of influence my vote
Oh, yeah,
one way
no,
or another.
and that's
Yeah.
not what we're tasked with, is it's just
Yeah, because
information,
that's, I
right?
thought that's
In
what
order for
we
us
did,
all
was
to
we
make
voted everything.
our own personal opinion vote is to have facts, so hopefully you're gaining what you need. Either way.
and I think, Mike, you gave a very good, very good comments regarding, so if we don't end up having that such a necessity, it is available still for regular fire trucks as we go along.
What's that, the stabilization account?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for all,
Yeah.
our intentions were, and I said this at the time, because I'm actually the one that pushed for it, because
You did.
we got hit so heavily with our process. We need to come up with something that if we don't do what it's intended for, then we're wasting our time in doing it, right? So the whole idea was to help offset the cost of the large fire trucks, and there's only 4 of them, and 3, we have, 2 of them has already been replaced, so we have a 17, we have a 22. Next year, the tanker truck, that's a 2001, that'll be changed. If it gets approved, that'll be changed. So the only truck left is the ladder truck. Not that because it's last, it has to be replaced. If the fire department comes to us and shows us that it needs to be replaced, then we seriously need to consider that. So I look for their guidance. I don't try to push it one way or the other. I knew the tanker truck wasn't on there. If you remember last year, I just threw it on the list, and I told the fire chief, I said, you guys don't have this on the list, and you're saying that it has different issues with it. This is where I put it. If you have a different need, you need to tell us. It's not up to us to decide where it goes, but I want to be thinking about it. That's why I put it way at the end. I think it was on 29 or something, or 28 that I had put it out to.
If I may
Yes.
comment also, the regular stabilization fund.
The rainy day fund, you mean?
Somehow, I'm always in on those because I was on the board when we got that established. Because it was like, we have nothing, and we have to try to find a way, and it depleted something else, or other things. So, and I will tell you that it was, okay, we do need a stabilization fund, so I think we put in $10,000 into the stabilization fund. And then out of the blue, we needed
$10,000.
the fire truck, and got the fire truck because it was like, well, I said, by the time now you're spending the $10,000, or you're waiting to catch up and get up to whatever was needed. the price has already gone up.
Yeah.
So the people agreed, and they went ahead and voted for the fire truck. And ironically, it's almost like we're in this, getting to the same situation, because got the fire truck, it was too big, where do we put it?
Yeah.
History repeats itself.
Yeah.
So I believe it ended up down at Schuster's Mill, in one of the garages,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there was no other place
Right.
big enough.
Yeah, the fire department evolved over the last 25 years. But it's a very important department in the town today. Their response time is pretty impressive. I hear it all the time. I'll hear and listen to the scanner and different things that I'm aware of from other channels. They do a very good job. They have a nice department down there. So. And I'm not saying to give them all the toys they need. I'm just saying to give them the tools they need. That's
Right.
all I'm after. There's nothing worse than trying to do your job and you don't have what you need to work with.
And I'm sorry to take up the
No,
time,
that's
but
fine,
it's
no.
like history
This is the only thing we're talking about, so
itself.
if nobody else is in the rest, it's a good chance for us just to have a little discussion, to get in each other's heads a little bit, so we appreciate where each other is coming from. Anything you want to add, Mr. Husker?
No, no. I mean, we talk about the fire truck, I like to see as far out as we can, especially on the super ticket items. That's a year and a half's worth of our capital budget is a ladder truck. So even if it's not on our list, we need to keep those items in our mind.
Right.
Library is the same thing. That's a multi-million-dollar project, I assume.
Don't know. It goes all over
See,
the
I
place,
don't
so.
know either, and I'm on the trustees, that's,
Yeah.
that's
It's
sort of
gone-
crazy.
It's gone from here to here.
Yeah.
Right?
And
So
if-
until they get to a point where they identify what their needs are,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to put it there, but I'd like to keep it on our list so that we're thinking of it. right?
Yeah, but we ended up trying to raise our own funds.
Right.
And we're almost at 300,000 now, which is pretty good
Yeah.
for a stupid library, which
No,
isn't
no.
stupid. I love libraries. so.
Right.
But it's no other department, I think, in this town has raised money for a building thing. And we were told, I remember, what's his name? Who was the fire chief?
Ken
when-
Vincent?
No.
Don gone?
Yeah, Don Gagne. And he said to me, Ellie, we're the last one to be the building being built, and it's your turn next. And that was, 25, 30 years ago? So nothing's happened. And so then we just started to raise money, but no way are we going to be able to raise all that money. So what you put here, it's either and/or debt exclusion.
Right, because it's unknown what the value is.
Right, we
So,
have no idea, and
And that's put there by the finance director because she's trying to, so people understand what they need to expect, right?
Yeah.
It's not solely a debt exclusion, we don't know what the value is.
Yeah.
And once we figure that out, then it's easier to achieve.
Yeah.
right?
do you have any suggestions, we're meeting tonight too, of how to push this forward? It seems like, well, keep on raising money, this is what the trustees will say. So
Well,
I
They
wanted.
can say that, but what they need to do, and I've said this to multiple people associated with the library, you have to just take an honest look at it and establish what your needs are, right?
And how does
So-
one do that?
All right, so what do you need handicap accessibility, right?
Yeah.
So how do you want to do that? Is it going to be done through a ramp? Is it going to be done through an elevator? Is it going to be done through a chairlift, right? And do you need an addition off the back with a little vestibule and a set of stairs in it? Because we've all seen these little drawings because we've been involved in it. And what do you need inside? Do you need a handicap bathroom? Do you need?
Just one?
No, I know that, but once they identify what they need, then it's easier to do.
We've already done that part.
Right.
It's just, it's sort of the argument, I think, that goes around and around and around is, Do you need an architect to do this, or can you have a structural engineer to do the planning out? Do you want a whoopee-doo? You want a pretty, you don't want an ugly library. You
Right.
want to keep that loveliness there, but do you actually need an architect to do those designs? You know, or can you have a structural engineer do it?
Well, either one of them can do controlled construction, but as far as public procurement, your best bet would be to talk to the town administrator,
Yeah.
because he's a procurement officer, and he's going to give you the right answer. I'm going to give you a guessed answer.
Well, no,
So-
I mean.
No, I'm just being honest about it, right? So what I think it should be isn't necessarily what it is, because I don't do public work. I'm only, what I'm exposed to around this building is what I'm aware of. But the town administrator would easily be able to answer that question, and it may be, depends on, I would find out, go through your meeting process, so hopefully everybody doesn't mind that we're off topic for a minute, but go through your meeting process, and I would task them with identifying what their needs are, right? And then they could have, whether it's Justin or yourself or somebody from the organization, come over, talk to the administrator and say, look, we've identified our needs. This is how much we've raised. And we need some help trying to figure out what's the next step. Do we, because we have Weston and Sampson as our so-called house doctor, we could get an opinion from them.
No, we've already tried that through building and facilities, and we're told, oh, no, right now, at this point, because of the highway barn. That's where, and the fire station. Those are the two things that they're concentrating on right now.
Okay, so
And then they were
I'll
also-
ask the question for you, and I'll get you an answer. I'll get you an answer on it. But for your, to answer your original question for the library, right, is if they're comfortable with what they're identifying their needs, and you have it down, then I'll help you figure out how to get to the,
Okay,
get moving forward on
all
getting the
right,
next
so
answer.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Mike,
So,
Well, just to help you navigate through it, so I'll be able to get that answer for you.
so we did go through that, through Mr. Wojcik,
yeah,
and I'm not sure it was necessarily no, but there were many things, other things that we're already involved in. And that's probably, I think, that's where Mr. Wojcik said, you know, we're in this position at this point. And I'm not sure, Ellie, again, whether they've identified the needs.
yeah, we do this
library.
at least every 5 years. We do it. You know, we started all of
Yeah.
this before 2000, the year 2000. We started, and I wrote a whole, background of it, and sent it to the trustees and to Justin and said, this is what we've been doing, and it was, half a page of paper, that's all. I didn't go on and on and on and on.
So Shirley, the process with building and facilities, does the project or group have to be referred to you, or can they come and talk to you? I don't remember. I remember it was formed April 10th, 2010, but I can't remember.
Right.
I
And
just
so,
didn't pay attention because I was on it for 8 years.
I mean, we did, actually, we invited
Yep.
the highway,
Library.
the library, but also because they were involved over the years, and I'm sorry, Ellie, it's way before that, because I voted for the project, and I voted when we were getting state aid for it, but it didn't go. Anyhow, also, I invited the Historic Commission because of the historic value of buildings, Also, the old elementary school down there, I invited them, the Historic Commission and the chairman came, and gave some input. She gave input to Mr. Wojcik so that the information for bids for the old elementary school could go out with input from the Historic Commission as far as history. So, and they've both been at the meetings, but then
Yep.
they stopped.
Well,
So-
we didn't stop, we sort of got the feeling,
Yeah, it was what
Well,
I'll do is
I think,
I'll
I'm
help you
sorry.
get a path for that, and to figure out what the path is, right? And we'll talk
And-
about it.
Mr. Wojcik.
We are knee-deep into the
Yeah.
highway building process. We're very close to moving forward with that land. The only thing left is the dam report. That's going to be done in the next couple weeks. And then the only thing left of that is the Board of Selectmen needs to vote to move forward with the purchase of the land. That's already gone through town meeting. The money's already sitting in an account separate. And then the architect is working through the final, the 30% design, which will include, he's already got the design of the layout done. That'll include a cost estimate, all the numbers and stuff, so then potentially go to town meeting in the fall. So, I don't know how it was said to you, but that's what we're in the middle of doing, so it might have been, we're trying to focus on this before we move to the next one, but I'm gonna find out what the path is, what the process, so you can keep your project moving forward. And I have no problem at all helping you with that process,
good, thank you.
even if I have to come to a library committee meeting. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm more than happy to volunteer my time to help with these different things, no different than I do with everything else that I get involved in.
You do. Thank you.
So if nobody has anything on the changes that I made, if everybody's satisfied with that and in agreement, I would like to actually take a vote on it to approve the capital improvement plan
For Article 10 there.
for Article 10, yes.
So I'll make that motion that we approve the plan as presented in the most recent version of Article 10.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody have anything else to add? No. We're going to, as you can see on the list, not funded at this time, which I spoke about prior to the vote, at the very beginning of this meeting. We're going to need to meet in the fall, in probably around September, just to review the numbers and get prepared for our special town meeting, solidify that capital.
Are we still saying that
Request.
September date we picked at the last meeting?
I don't remember what it was. I'm old, remember?
September 9th at 2.
I'm almost 65.
Oh, give me a break.
I am. I'm hours away.
Are you retiring soon?
No, no, retirement's like diets, that's for quitters.
Please. Don't
And I
talk.
don't, and I'm not gonna do either one. What was the date?
That was September 9th at 2.
September 9th, all right, 9/9.
I think I wrote it down on my phone.
I'm sure Lisa has it because immediately following every meeting, I always go in, see Lisa and let her know that what we talked about.
Select Board meets tonight, right, Mike?
Yes. Yeah.
You guys had a long meeting 2 times ago, didn't you?
What's that?
Your last meeting was over 3 hours.
Was I there?
I started watching it.
Oh, maybe I was.
And I had to go to bed.
I was watching it and I wanted to go to bed.
So, when is the hearing on the budget?
8, April 8.
Thank you.
Everything happening in April 8th.
You're welcome to be there.
No, I got doctor's appointments.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.